Take a moment, Cancer, not to listen to loud predictions, but to quietly tune in to something that has been moving very close to you, closer than you might realize. Lately, many Cancers have felt that the energy at home isn't as calm as it used to be. There's a strange feeling, as if an old door is slowly closing, yet no one has said it out loud. Among the signs beginning to surface, one detail keeps repeating more often than usual: a name, starting with the letter J. This is not random, and it's not meant to frighten you. What's approaching carries the energy of an ending, but not a loss. It's a transformation. An old chapter within the family is coming to a close, making space for a new order, more mature, more healing, more real. If your heart feels a little heavy hearing this, stay with me, because what comes next begins with that person and with the reason the universe chose Cancer to witness this shift. The first card appears without darkness, despite what many people assume. It carries a deep stillness, the kind of silence that comes just before life begins to change its skin. Death does not arrive to take away anything precious. It comes to release what has already fulfilled its purpose, like an old shell falling away after a season of transformation, like a layer of skin that must be shed so a stronger body can emerge. For Cancer, this card doesn't touch fear. It goes straight to memory. Family memories that have lasted too long, roles that have been carried for far too many years, emotions held back because of an old promise, a blood bond, or simply because Cancer has always been the one who endures for others. This time, the energy of death does not arrive alone. It is clearly tied to one specific person, someone in the family. A name that begins with the letter J, not loudly, not suddenly, just a presence that keeps repeating itself in intuition, in passing thoughts, in unfinished dreams. That person is not appearing in this message by chance. They are a key piece of the cycle that is now closing. What needs to end is not necessarily the relationship itself. It is the way the relationship has existed, the old lens through which you have seen each other, the way love was slowly distorted by expectations, by wounds, by years of silence. Death appears to say that everything has reached the final limit of its old form. It cannot be patched anymore. It cannot be held together by quiet sacrifice. For Cancer, this is a profound lesson in maturity, because Cancer does not fear loss. Cancer fears the breaking of what is called family. Yet, the universe is whispering a different truth now. Family does not disappear when a phase ends. Family simply changes shape so it can survive in a healthier way. And the person whose name begins with J is the clearest mirror reflecting that truth. There will be moments of stillness when Cancer realizes they have been carrying a responsibility that never truly belonged to them. There may be a very gentle sadness when understanding that letting go of an old role does not mean letting go of love. In fact, it is the only way love can return to its true nature, free, honest, no longer one-sided sacrifice. Death, in this message, does not slam a door shut. It opens a new corridor, a passage where Cancer no longer holds everything together with raw emotion, but begins to stand upright through emotional maturity. The person with the letter J becomes the catalyst, perhaps through a conversation, a truth finally spoken, or a single action strong enough that Cancer can no longer look away. The most beautiful part of this card is what remains after the ending is done properly. No resentment, no self-blame. Only a lightness that is hard to name, like finally taking a deep breath after holding it for years, like setting down a suitcase you have carried for so long without realizing how tired you were. The universe did not choose Cancer for this message because of weakness. It chose Cancer because of kindness, because Cancer is capable of walking through an ending without harming anyone, including themselves. And in the very moment of letting go, a new current of energy begins to flow in, quietly, warmly, carrying the light of an entirely different chapter. And as the old dust settles, as emotions are no longer compressed inside, as the bond with the person whose name begins with J moves into a new state, Cancer begins to sense what is slowly unfolding ahead, not through logic, but through a familiar feeling in the heart, as if the universe is preparing to place something into your hands that you once believed you were never meant to receive. The flow that follows the shedding of the old shell does not arrive with a loud sound. It comes softly, like a breeze carrying the scent of memory. The Six of Cups appears not to pull Cancer back into the past, but to remind you that some bonds were never truly broken. They were simply covered in dust by time. Deep inside, the Cancer heart still remembers clearly the days when everything felt simpler, when family members could look at each other with trust, when words did not yet carry armor, when someone's presence did not make the room feel heavy. The Six of Cups is memory, but not for regret. It is an invitation to return to a more innocent, emotional state. Not to relive what has passed, but to reclaim the feelings that were left behind along the road to adulthood. The person whose name begins with J steps into this energy like an old key rediscovered in a drawer that hasn't been opened in years. At first, there may be confusion, a bit of awkwardness, a quiet hesitation. Yet beneath that uncertainty is a familiarity that is impossible to deny. Between Cancer and this person, there once existed a distance without a name. Not because love was missing, but because neither of you knew how to reach for each other without causing pain. Unspoken words piled up, misunderstandings accumulated, small. Wounds repeated long enough to become a wall of silence. Cancer remembers everything, even the things no one talks about anymore. And because of remembering too much, the heart once closed itself off as a form of protection. When the Three of Swords appears reversed, there is no blade piercing the heart. The wound still exists, but the bleeding has stopped. The pain does not vanish immediately, yet it begins to be seen differently. No longer asking, "Why did this happen to me?" but instead, "What am I meant to learn from this?" For Cancer, this is a crucial shift, because healing is not forgetting. It is allowing memory to exist without letting it control the present. The person with the letter J is going through a similar process, whether they say it out loud or not. On the surface, they may still appear guarded, silent, or distant. But inside, there is a sincere desire to return to a balance that once existed. Not to become who you once were, but to meet again as people who have grown, who have been tested, who now understand the value of still having one another. This time, reconciliation does not arrive with loud apologies or dramatic gestures. It comes through small things, a timely check-in, listening without interrupting. A moment of shared silence that does not feel uncomfortable. These ordinary moments carry a deeper healing power than any promise ever could. For Cancer, emotional safety is the foundation of every lasting connection. And when that foundation begins to rebuild, the heart opens naturally. The Six of Cups also reminds Cancer that there is still a very pure part within you, a part not hardened by pain, not clouded by disappointment, a part that believes family can be a place to return to, not a place to endure. When Cancer allows that part to speak, healing no longer feels like an obligation. It becomes a choice, born from genuine love. The most beautiful truth in this message is that no one must play the role of savior. Each person walks toward their own light. And in that movement, two paths begin to run side by side again, not out of duty, but out of a new harmony formed after old fractures. Family does not need to be perfect. It only needs to be honest enough to keep walking forward together. When memories are placed back where they belong, when wounds are seen with understanding instead of blame, a very unfamiliar feeling begins to rise within Cancer. Lighter, wider, as if an empty space has quietly been filled with peace. And within that peace, something else begins to grow. Something connected to worth, to stability, to the feeling of being supported in a very real, grounded way that Cancer has been waiting for a long time. As the emotions within the family slowly settle, as the cracks are touched with understanding instead of avoidance, the material side of life begins to speak in its own quiet way. The Ace of Pentacles does not arrive like a miracle falling from the sky. It appears softly, steadily, like a seed, placed directly into Cancer's hand. This seed has weight, It has form. It has real value. Not a vague promise, but an opportunity you can hold, measure, and build upon. For Cancer, money has never been just money. It is safety. It is a roof that keeps out the rain. It is the ability to protect the people you love. And so when the Ace of Pentacles opens its door, it carries a very clear message. You deserve to be supported, not only emotionally, but through real, tangible stability. Standing beside it, the Nine of Pentacles offers even stronger confirmation. This is not the energy of dependence. This is the image of someone mature enough to enjoy the results of their own efforts, strong enough to stand alone without feeling lonely, confident enough to receive good things without guilt. For Cancer, this marks a major inner shift, because you are far more accustomed to giving than to receiving. This flow of money or opportunity does not arrive loudly. It does not come with high risk or seductive promises. It comes through very real, very human pathways. A piece of property mentioned again after a long silence. A buying or selling opportunity once dismissed, now resurfacing. A family project that had been left unfinished, suddenly finding new life. Or an unexpected sum appearing at the exact moment you need it most. Not to show off, but simply to breathe again. The person whose name begins with J acts as a bridge in this process. Not necessarily the one handing you the money, but the key link that allows the flow to open. They may be the one who reopens an old conversation, the one who speaks a decisive sentence, the one who brings a piece of information that seems small, yet unlocks an entire door. In many cases, it is the emotional healing that happened earlier that softened the barriers which had delayed this opportunity. What stands out most is that this financial energy does not come with a sense of sacrifice. There is no loss waiting on the other side. No one has to lose for someone else to gain. Everything unfolds in a more balanced state, more fair, as if the universe is quietly returning to Cancer what you have carried in silence for many years. The Nine of Pentacles also carries a deep message about self-worth. You no longer need to prove anything. You no longer need to sacrifice more to be seen or valued. When you stand in your rightful place, when you respect your own effort and your own boundaries, money naturally finds its way to you. Gently, logically, without pressure, Cancer begins to feel a very real shift in the way the future is perceived. The constant worry of, what will I do if something goes wrong, starts to fade. In its place comes a sense of foundation, of options, of choice. And that sense of security creates a different kind of strength. You no longer live in survival mode. You begin to think beyond just getting through. During this phase, the person with the letter J no longer appears as a source of instability. They become part of a new, steadier flow. Not perfect, but reliable enough. And when trust is placed in the right place, decisions around money become far clearer and wiser. Within this growing stability, Cancer begins to realize something important. When the material foundation is strengthened, the heart no longer contracts from fear. And in that calm, you are finally steady enough to face a different kind of choice. One that has nothing to do with money, but everything to do with where you want this connection to go next. No longer driven by lack, only by honesty about what you truly want. What remains now is honesty about what you truly want. And when the fog of material worries finally lifts, the real question dares to step into the light, no longer hidden behind duty, no longer shaped by the fear of not having enough, no longer driven by the pressure to hold everything together for the family. In this quiet space, Cancer begins to ask, very softly, yet clearly enough to hear it, within, how do I want this relationship to exist? Not to keep the peace, not to play a role, but so the heart can breathe. The Lovers appears at that very moment, not as a judgment, but as a crossroads between two familiar paths. One path is to continue as before, safe, predictable, free of conflict, yet not truly alive. The other path asks for more courage, a place where love is no longer tied to blind sacrifice, but stands equal with respect. For Cancer, this choice is not easy, because you are born with the instinct to bond, Letting go of an old way can hurt as deeply as saying goodbye to a piece of your own memory. The subtle power of the Lovers is that it does not ask you to choose right or wrong. It asks you to choose what is real, to choose what softens your heart instead of making it tighten, to choose a way of loving that does not cost you your inner peace. And within that choice, forgiveness is no longer a gift you give to someone else. It becomes a release you give to yourself. Forgiveness to move forward, not to return to where you began. Alongside love stands the Seven of Wands, grounded and steady, like a quiet but firm reminder. Loving does not mean abandoning your values. Compassion does not mean allowing everything to cross your boundaries. Holding your ground is not conflict, it is self-respect. For Cancer, this is a profound lesson in maturity. You can open your heart without opening every door. You can listen deeply without losing your own voice. There may be moments when the person whose name begins with J reacts. They may not yet recognize this new version of you, a version that is calmer, clearer, no longer apologizing for having feelings, no longer carrying responsibility that belongs to someone else. And here is where the Seven of Wands shows its true strength. It helps you stand firm without raising your voice, to hold boundaries without becoming cold. This choice does not arrive loudly. There is no dramatic climax, only an inner shift, quiet, yet powerful enough to change the entire dynamic of the relationship. When you choose love with awareness, those who remain do so out of respect. Those who no longer align naturally fall away. And for the first time in a long while, Cancer does not experience that as loss. In that quiet space, a strange sensation appears, lighter, wider, as if you have finally taken off an old coat you have worn for years without realizing how heavy it was. The heart is still warm, but no longer exhausted. And from this clarity, everything begins to rearrange itself, not only in your connection with the person whose name begins with J, but in the way you move through life itself. When love is placed on the foundation of respect, when boundaries become a fence protecting your inner garden rather than a wall shutting others out, a different kind of energy begins to move, very slowly, very steadily, carrying a deep sense of peace that Cancer has been searching for a very long time. And within that peace, you begin to realize that what is coming is not merely a choice. It is the natural result of having the courage to live in alignment with who you truly are. And then, after all of those quiet movements, a very peaceful image begins to form in the mind. Not bright, not dramatic, just the feeling that everyone in the family can share the same space without having to brace themselves. The Ten of Cups does not arrive as a luxury dream. It comes like an ordinary afternoon, where voices no longer carry defense, where eyes no longer look away, where simply being together no longer feels like a burden. For Cancer, this is the most precious outcome. Not because every problem has disappeared, but because everyone has finally laid down their armor. Family no longer needs to be perfect. It only needs to be real enough to stay together. There may still be differences. There may still be moments of disagreement. But there is no longer the feeling of having to fight to be heard. No longer the fear that one careless word might shatter something fragile. The Ten of Cups represents harmony from within, a place where each person takes responsibility for their own emotions instead of placing them on someone else. It is the moment when Cancer no longer stands as the one carrying everything, but is finally allowed to lean into the family and feel safe doing so. A home now does more than block the rain. It shelters the days when the heart feels tired, and within this softened space, the Two of Cups appears like a very delicate thread of connection. Not loud, not demanding explanation, just a single moment where two pairs of eyes meet and understand that they have lived enough to meet again in a new way. This connection is not built on old memories. It is built on present understanding, as if two souls that once lost their rhythm have found the same breath again. With the person whose name begins with J, this bond is no longer shaped by old roles. No more who was right or wrong. No more counting who hurt whom more. Only recognition remains. The recognition that even after distance, even after change, there has always been a deep place inside that never turned away. You meet again, not to repair the past, but to fully show up in the present. The Two of Cups brings the feeling of being seen, not seen through obligation, but through acknowledgement, seen as an independent person, with boundaries, with needs, with parts that are no longer the same as before. And when you are seen this way, the heart opens naturally. No force, no effort. Cancer begins to feel a very different kind of warmth. Not the warmth that comes from giving endlessly, but the warmth that comes from being received as an equal. Family becomes a place to return to, not a place to endure. Meals no longer feel heavy. Conversations no longer require carefully chosen words out of fear of hurting someone. Within this harmony, something very important happens. Cancer learns that happiness is not about keeping everything unchanged, but about allowing everyone to evolve while still making space for one another. And when each person is allowed to be themselves, the bond does not break. It grows stronger. The Ten of Cups does not promise a life without storms, but it promises a foundation strong enough to walk through storms together. The Two of Cups does not promise perfect alignment, but it offers a depth of respect where differences no longer feel like a threat. And in this very human moment, Cancer realizes something profound. What you have been searching for all along was never an ideal family. It was a real one, a place where love does not need to be proven, where your presence is valued simply because you are you. A feeling of fullness spreads slowly, deeply, like warm water soaking into the earth. And from that fullness, Cancer knows that you have truly come home. And then, while that feeling of fullness is still slowly spreading through your chest, the rhythm of everything suddenly shifts. No longer a long, gentle flow, but a movement that is clear, directed, and full of momentum. The Knight of Wands enters the story like a warm gust of wind, carrying determination. No hesitation, no detours, only forward motion. This energy signals that what once stayed quietly in your thoughts is now beginning to find its way into the real world. For Cancer, this change may come as a surprise. You are used to things needing time to ripen, to settle, to feel ready. But this time, the universe is not extending the timeline. What has met its conditions is being accelerated. A message arrives sooner than expected. A phone call comes without warning. An offer is spoken plainly, or a meeting unfolds without anyone having planned it. The Knight of Wands does not wait for emotions to catch up, and the Eight of Wands that follows confirms this is not chaos. This is alignment, many elements ready at once. The Eight of Wands carries the image of arrows flying together toward the same direction. No missed timing, no delay. Signals arrive more rapidly than usual. Cancer begins to notice very tangible signs. Schedules shift. News appears. Conversations once endlessly postponed now happen naturally. No pushing, no guessing. Everything becomes clear enough that you no longer wonder whether you are imagining it. This window does not last long. It is focused, strong, clean. Within a few weeks, no more than a month, Cancer will see the difference with their own eyes. Not through vague intuition, but through real actions. The person whose name begins with J is no longer just a name passing through your mind. They step into your life through something concrete, a real presence. And this speed makes one thing clear. Everything has been preparing for a long time. It was only waiting for the right moment to move. What matters is that Cancer does not need to chase this fast rhythm with anxiety. The Knight of Wands brings action, but it does not ask you to lose your calm. The Eight of Wands brings news, but it does not demand rushed reactions. You only need to be fully present, to listen, to observe, to let things reveal themselves as they truly are. When movement happens quickly, truth appears quickly as well. What was once unclear has nowhere left to hide. This creates a very unexpected sense of ease. No more guessing intentions, no more reading between the lines. Everything is placed on the table, clear, direct, and that clarity feels deeply liberating. Within this rapid shift, Cancer begins to understand that you are no longer standing in a passive position. You're not waiting for news in order to hope. You receive what arrives with the steadiness you have already built within yourself. What is coming is not here to disrupt your life. It is here to confirm that the inner journey you have just walked was necessary. And as the pieces begin to fall into place with an unexpected speed, a clear realization forms inside you. These changes are not arriving to test you further. They are arriving to affirm that you are ready to step into a new phase. A phase where things do not just move faster, but move truer. And when everything begins to move at a speed that makes the heart beat just a little faster, the most important thing is no longer keeping up, but staying grounded. Temperance enters this space like a gentle hand resting on your shoulder, reminding Cancer to slow the breath, so emotion and reason can meet at a point of balance. There is no need to push further, no need to force answers to appear right away. Some things only become clear when they are left in the right place, at the right time. Cancer has always been used to controlling through emotion. When you love deeply, you hold tight. When you fear loss, you grip even harder. But temperance does not ask you to abandon responsibility. It asks you to release urgency, to trust that the universe's timing never arrives too early and never too late. It arrives precisely when the heart is mature enough not to damage what is being formed. The Four of Pentacles appears as a very honest reminder. There are things you have been holding on to for too long, not because they still carry value, but because you fear that letting go would leave you empty. Old resentment, the fear of being hurt again, stories repeated in the mind for years and years. They once protected you. Now they weigh you down. When the hands are always clenched, nothing new can be received. And Cancer now stands before a current that only opens to those willing to loosen their grip. Letting go here does not mean forgetting. It does not mean forced forgiveness. Letting go means allowing the past to remain where it belongs, not dragging it into every conversation, not using it as a ruler to measure the future. When you stop trying to control the outcome finally has space to reveal its true nature. After the important conversations, after the fast and clear news, the Four of Swords arrives softly. It brings no questions. It makes no demands. It simply invites rest. Not rest from exhaustion, but rest to allow the inner world to digest what has just happened. Cancer does not need to decide immediately while emotions are still shifting. There is deep wisdom in the pause, in letting the mind and the heart sit together without arguing, without forcing agreement too soon. This quiet space is not delay. It is a necessary step to avoid repeating old reactions. When you give yourself room to reflect, you begin to see what is habit and what is truly desire, and that distinction is what allows you to move differently than before. Temperance, the Four of Pentacles, and the Four of Swords create a deeply human rhythm. Calm within movement, release within longing, rest within intensity. This is not weakness, it is emotional maturity. Cancer no longer needs to react instantly to prove anything. You are secure enough to wait for the right feeling, to rise from within. As you allow yourself to slow down in this moment, a very different kind of trust begins to form. Trust in the process, trust in the arrangement, trust that love does not require tight control in order to stay. Some connections grow stronger the more they are loosened. Some answers only arrive when you stop forcing yourself to find them. And within this stillness, something becomes very clear. What is coming does not require you to fight to keep it. It stays because it belongs. It grows because it is nurtured by steadiness. When you slow your pace, the world does not leave you behind. Instead, it begins to walk beside you, moving at the very rhythm you have been waiting for a long time. At the very rhythm you have been waiting for a long time. And as that rhythm settles back into balance, as emotions stop swinging between fear and unfocused hope, something deeply important begins to unfold. The truth no longer needs to be searched for. It steps forward on its own. The King of Swords appears like clear air after a long rain. No excess emotion, no avoidance, only clarity. For Cancer, this is a rare moment where everything once held inside can finally be placed on the table in the calmest way possible. No more circling around the point. No more half-spoken sentences meant to protect feelings. This time, words come straight from thought, but without aggression. They carry the maturity of someone who understands that truth, even when sharp, is still kinder than prolonged silence. The Ace of Swords follows, cutting cleanly through the fog. Misunderstandings that lingered for years have nowhere left to hide. What is right is named as right. What is wrong is acknowledged as wrong. No blame, no defense, only honesty. And it is this honesty that opens an entirely different door, the door of release. Cancer can feel it clearly, a mental weight lifting from the shoulders. Questions that once looped endlessly now have answers. They may not be the answers you hoped for, but they are real. And strangely enough, the truth does not make the heart heavier. It makes it lighter. Because when you know exactly where you stand, you no longer have to guess whether the next step is safe. Justice appears right after, as a powerful confirmation. Not as judgment, but as balance being restored. What was once uneven? What felt unfair? What made you believe you were carrying more than your share? All of it begins to return to its rightful place. Not through retaliation, but through the natural recalibration of life. Cancer does not need to demand fairness. Fairness arrives when you stop sacrificing beyond your limits, when you speak clearly about what you need, when you no longer carry responsibility for others out of fear of losing connection. Justice reminds us that everyone must stand in their own place, and only when each person takes responsibility for their choices can a relationship move forward without emotional debt. In that very moment, the wheel of fortune begins to turn, not loudly, not dramatically, but with certainty. The old cycle, where you gave more than you received, slowly comes to a close. A new cycle opens, one where things flow more smoothly, more fairly, more lightly. What was once delayed no longer stands still. Opportunities that felt stuck begin to find their way forward. This turn of fate is not here to test you again. It turns to lift you out of an old loop. Cancer begins to realize you are no longer being pulled back into familiar patterns. You respond differently, you choose differently, and it is this inner shift that causes the outer world to change as well. There is a very clear feeling now, as if you are finally standing in the right place within the family picture. Not too low that you must bow, not too high that you must strain to hold it all together. Just right, enough to speak truth, enough to listen, enough to stay without losing yourself. With the wheel turned, with the truth spoken, with balance restored, Cancer no longer looks toward the future with caution. You look ahead with the calm of someone who understands there is no longer a need to control everything. There are larger movements unfolding now, not to make you anxious, but to guide you to where you truly belong. And within that turning flow, you begin to feel it clearly. What is arriving is not luck. It is the natural result of having the courage to live honestly. And when the wheel has finally turned in the right direction, small signs begin to appear, like stars quietly guiding the way. Not loud, not demanding attention. They simply repeat themselves, softly, until you can no longer ignore them. It begins with the familiar letter J, the anchor of this entire story, present from the very start. But over time, other letters slowly enter your awareness. M-A-R. They may be middle names, they may be last names. They may belong to someone standing at the edge of the story, yet holding a role that cannot be replaced. These letters do not ask you to analyze them right away. They only ask to be noticed, like puzzle pieces quietly finding the place where they belong. Cancer is naturally sensitive to signs. You can feel when repetition is no longer coincidence. A name mentioned in what seems like a casual conversation. A letter appearing in documents, messages, or a memory that suddenly returns without warning. These details do not arrive to confuse you. They arrive to confirm that you are moving within the right current. Time also begins to speak, in its own distinct language, not through promises, but through rhythm. December carries the energy of closure, not heavy, but decisive, like a room being carefully cleared before new guests arrive. For many Cancers, this is when important news surfaces. A message, a reconnection, a truth finally spoken. There is no long waiting here. December often arrives with clarity. February carries a different tone, softer yet deeper. This is when emotions are processed more carefully. If December is the moment the door opens, February is when you step through it with awareness. What began earlier is now examined through maturity. You no longer react from old habits. You choose, you listen, you sense what can truly walk beside you long term. June brings the clearest light, no shadows left, no questions hanging in the air. This is when everything shows itself as it is. Relationships, money flow, each person's place within the family. All of it becomes visible through a grounded, realistic lens. For Cancer, June feels like solid ground. You know where you stand, you know what you hold, and most importantly, you know you are no longer moving through uncertainty. September closes the cycle in a complete way, not as an ending, but as fulfillment. Looking back, you begin to see a long journey that unfolded without force, from early emotions, from old wounds, from difficult choices. All of it has guided you toward a more balanced state. September does not demand major action. It offers reassurance. The quiet knowing that what needed to happen has already happened. What matters is that Cancer does not need to memorize these dates as a rigid schedule. They are not here to create pressure. They are here to soothe. Important news may arrive early, but true stability is a process. Each month plays its own role, like individual breaths within the same living body. The letters, the timing, all of it is the universe whispering that you are not alone in this journey. Everything is being arranged, not to test you further, but to support you. And when you look back, you will realize that even the smallest details helped guide you to this place. Within that realization, Cancer no longer needs to cling to signs. You begin to trust your inner knowing. You trust that when something truly needs to appear, it will show itself clearly, without doubt, like a light switching on in a dark room. No explanation required. The moment you see it, you know you have found the right place.